Hi, today we're going to continue with this challenge, solving problems in HackerRank with JavaScript. This is the third video in this challenge, so let's continue. What we need to do here, well, we have this. Complete the compareTriplets function below. The function is expected to return an integer array, and the function accepts following parameters. Integer array A for Alice and integer array B for Bob. So here is the function, compareTriplets, and here we have the parameters A and B. So let's continue with the instructions. So Alice and Bob each created one problem for HackerRank. A reviewer rates the two challenges awarding points on a scale from 1 to 100 for three categories: problem, clarity, originality, and difficulty. The rating for Alice's challenge is the triplet A in 0, A in 1, and A in 2, and the rating for Bob's challenge is the triplet B in 0, B in 1, and B in 2. So the task is to find their comparison points by comparing A in 0 with B in 0, A in 1 with B in 1, and A in 2 with B in 2. So here we have the comparison. First, we need to compare if Alice in I is more than B in I, Bob in I, then Alice is awarded 1 point because it's more. And if is A in I less than B in I, so then Bob is awarded 1 point because it's more Bob in I than Alice in I. So if A in I, Alice in I, and B in I, Bob in I, then neither person receives a point because they are like the same. And then comparison points is the total points a person earned. Given A and B, determine their respective comparison points. Here we have an example. Example A. A for Alice, 1, 2, 3. And B for Bob, 3, 2, 1. So for the elements in position 0, Bob is awarded a point because A in 0 is less than B in 3. So Bob gets has more points than Alice. So Bob gets the point. And for the equal elements A in 1 and B in 1, no points are earned because 2 is equal to 2. Bob and Alice have the same points. And finally, for elements in position 2, it will be 3 and 1. So 3 is more than 1. So Alice gets the point. Alice receives a point. So we finally need to return an array. It will be 1 for Alice and 1 for Bob. So with Alice score first and Bob second. So function description. Completed the function compareTriplets in the editor below. And compareTriplets has the following parameters. Int array with 3 positions for Alice's challenge rating, and int b with 3 positions for Bob's challenge rating too. So finally we need to return an integer with 2 positions, and in the first position we need to add the score for Alice, and in the second position the score for Bob. In the input format, the first line contains 3 space-separated integers, a in 1, a in 2, and a in 0, a in 1, and a in 2, on the respective values in triplet A. The second line contains 3 space-separated integers, b in 0, b in 1, and b in 2, the respective values in triplet B. So we have like the same in 2 arrays. So the constraints are all the positions, all the values in the different positions needs to be less than 100 or equal to 100, and more than 1, more or equal to 1. The same for both arrays, for Alice and for Bob. So we have this sample input 0, 5, 6, and 7, and it will be for Alice, and 3, 6, and 10 for Bob. And the sample output, it will be 1 because Alice gets 1 point here, and here we have 6 and 6, so nobody gets the point. And later 10 for Bob, so Bob gets 1 point, so Alice 1 point, and Bob 1.2. So the explanation in this example, A in 0, A in 1, A in 2, and B in 0, B in 1, and B in 2. So 5, 6, 7, 3, 6, 10. Now let's compare each individual score. A in 0 is more than B in 0, so Alice receives 1 point, and A in 1 equals B in 1, so nobody receives a point. So A in 2 is less than B in 2, so Bob receives 1 point. And Alice's comparison score is 1, and Bob's comparison score is 1. Thus we return the array 1, 1. So let's continue with the function here in the right side. So first I would like to do is define what I would like to do first. I would like to define the variables for Alice and Bob. No, the variables for Alice, for Alice and Bob. Yeah, like their scores. So let for Alice equals 0 by default 0, and Bob equals 0 2. So we have their scores. This will be their scores for Alice and the score for Bob. So we have to go through each of the elements in the array to compare themselves. So go through through every each of the elements in the array to compare themselves. So okay, I would like to do this with for each or a for. Yeah, like this loop for. So we can do this for let e equals 0, e less than a or b. We can use both because a and b length we know it will be always 3, so we can put here directly 3, or a point length or b point length, and later a plus plus I plus plus. And later we need to compare. Okay, so if I mean Alice in position 0, 1 or 2 is less than B in position I, so it will be a point for Bob, because Bob it will be more than Alice, so Bob plus plus. That's why I defined Bob equals 0, because plus plus it will be Bob, plus plus it will be 1. So else if specifically, because it can be like the same, so we need to specify that B that A in position I is more than Bob in position I. So I mean Alice is more than Bob. Here is Bob more than Alice, and here we have Alice more than Bob, so Alice receives the point. Alice more, Alice plus plus. And yeah, I think that's all, because if it is like the same, nobody gets a point, so it won't be like affect anything. So at the end we just need to return an array. So return an array with the value of for Alice, the score for Alice, and the score for Bob. And yeah, I think that's all. We're going through to test. Okay, test case 1 and test sample test case 1, sample test case 0. Yeah, submit code. And yeah, that's all for this problem.